Hi friends, and thank you for picking up this month's issue of Healthy Facts. It's got some wonderful recipes, nutrition tips, and more. Hi everybody, we are going to make a lovely quinoa oat-bran porridge this morning. This is a recipe from a dear friend of mine. Her name is Luann Bermeo. She's written some wonderful cookbooks called Amazing Meals 1 and 2 that I just love, and people who come to my retreat just flip out. So she has a Facebook page, check it out. I rinsed the quinoa with a fine mesh strainer. And what we're going to do is put 2 cups of water in a pot. And she says you can use a little bit more water if you want to. Then we're going to add the rinsed quinoa. Quinoa has all the essential amino acids. It's a lovely little seed grown high in the mountains. So high in protein and just really, really good for you. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit here. Then we're going to add some Oat-Bran and some soy milk powder. Now the soy milk powder just adds a nice a creaminess and a really nice texture to this morning pudding. And so we're just going to keep stirring this and sort of heating it for about 15 minutes, and then the little spirals will come out on the quinoa. It's going to be yummy. Forgot to add my little pinch of salt. You know, it's always good to have a little bit of salt with your sweet. It kind of brings out the flavors best. Just going to do a little bit of whisking here while it's cooking. We're going to get it up to a low boil. This porridge definitely made enough for 2 people. It's so yummy and creamy. The consistency is good. There's just a little touch of sweetness. I'm putting on some nice dried cherries and some walnuts and a couple tiny chopped dates. Delicious! I love making brown rice in the oven. It's just the easiest way to make brown rice. You don't have to think about it. You just take a covered casserole dish, and I put a little grapeseed oil in this today, or you can use some coconut oil, or anything just to kind of help with the cleanup. You don't even need to use that at all. I've done it with nothing and it's fine. Then you pour the rice in, and we use brown rice, and then 1 part rice to 2 parts water. So it's just that simple. Cover the casserole dish and bake it at 350 degrees for about an hour. And it just turns out great every time. You're going to love it. It's so easy. This is a lovely collard green leaf, and they are so good for you and delicious. I'm just going to show you one of the things I like to do is use these for a wrap. So to just cut the stem out, you just start at the top and go right along the stem on both sides. And you have kind of a nice flat surfaces to work with, and then you can wrap different things in these. And you can also pile them up like this, roll them, and cut them really thin to get a nice thin chiffon-dale or cut. Very nice cut. Can't remember the name of that, but anyway, they're really good to work with. Now, if you haven't heard of the ANDI index, that's the aggregate nutrient density index, and that's a scale of 0 to 1,000. And it tells you a number of how nutrient dense foods are. So you want to be eating really high on the ANDI index. And on a scale of 0 to 1,000, where do you think collard greens fall? 1,000! Woo! Kale, collard greens, watercress, these are the most nutrient dense things you can consume. So you're definitely going to want to throw them in things like we're throwing them in the stir fry today. Get them in your smoothies, stews, soups. Cut them up, throw them in. Your kids won't know a lot of times, and they're really, really good for you. It's like your daily vitamin right here. We're going to make a lovely stir fry today, and I just love this dish, mainly because the sauce is really yummy. But when you make a stir fry, you really want to have your wok nice and hot before you get started. And I don't like to use a lot of processed foods, and I consider processed oils. I mean, I just really try to keep those low and really low if I don't need to use them. So I don't saute with oil most of the times. I just use water. So I put a little water into my wok, and it is got a little bit hot. You could see the steam coming up. And I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. You want to put the onions, carrots, and celery in first because they are going to take the longest to cook. And we'll get these going for a little while before we add the other ingredients. Well, now we're going to make this sauce that goes with the stir fry, and I love this sauce. It's really delicious. And I use organic grapes, which are really important to not buy regular grapes with the sulfites and chemicals and things. So it's good you're shopping at a health food store. Support your local health food store. I'm going to use a little bit of ginger in this. Don't you love fresh ginger? It smells so good. People ask me the best way to store ginger, and I just throw it in the fridge, and usually lasts really well. So I've heard other people have other methods, but for me, I just stick it in there and it lasts, you know, a few weeks. Now, I don't always peel it. You don't have to. You can, when you have a high-speed blender like mine makes, you don't really need to. I'm going to put in a little ginger, a little garlic. That was a big clove of garlic. This is brown rice vinegar, which is really nice. The rice vinegar adds a really nice flavor. And so does the toasted sesame oil. So this is where I'm using a little bit of oil. But toasted sesame oil has just a lot of flavor. So in one place, if you're going to use a little bit of oil, I really recommend the toasted sesame oil. We have a little bit of apricot preserves for some more sweetness and kind of a more natural sweetness. And then also a little bit of agave or the coconut nectar. And Bragg's, 1/4 of a cup, so I'm going to just add a little splash more. I didn't quite fill up my cup, and then some cilantro. And I just snipped off the edge of the bunch, and it's all going in there. Rinsed it off, and a little bit of like red pepper flakes, or the, you know, that sriracha sauce. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's really good. The Chinese one, it's red, and so we're just gonna blend all this up, and this will be our yummy sauce for our stir fry. It is green, but it tastes really, really good, and it's very nutritious, so you're going to love it. Well, the rice came out of the oven, and it looks fantastic. Look at it. It's beautiful. So we're going to just put a little bit of this on the plate and throw on some of our lovely stir-fry veggies. And so you can see about the sauce made about a cupful. I am a little bit excited about this. Okay, I know the green sauce might not go over that great with the kids, but it's really tasty, I promise you. And there you go. Dinner is served. It smells so good. Nice, sweet, and sour, spicy all at the same time. Festive fruit and date balls. These are so good and yummy, and they freeze really well, so they're great to have on hand for any time. I have 21 dates. In this, I took the pits out. They're so easy to do. You just kind of pop them open and the pit comes out. I like to buy them with the pits in. Sometimes they just feel a little bit creamier. And in this container there were 21, so I think the recipe says 20. If your dates are a little bit stiff, you're going to just want to soak them in some warm water so that they're not so hard. And we're going to process that with some pecans and dates. And the dates, and then we have some raisins. And then I'm going to use some carob powder today, but you can use cocoa powder as well, and a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to process this until it starts to stick together, and then we'll kind of roll them in balls. If you have one of those little cookie baller things, that works really well. And then in these 3 containers, I can shake up the balls in some nice raw coconut flakes, either cocoa powder or the carob powder. And you can also do the cacao nibs or almonds, so they're really fun. You can make them look all different, no cooking involved, so hey, it's easy. So you might have to stop your processor once it starts sticking together and just, well, you know, break it up a little bit and see if you can get it to run a little bit more. But these larger chunks of nuts are only going to taste good, so. This little Pampered Chef tool that I have comes in real handy. So make your ball, dunk it in one of the containers. You could probably shake up a couple at a time and do it fast. They're really good. So we keep going like this until we're all done. Well, we made some wonderful healthy recipes again today. Thank you for joining me. Remember to get some exercise in and to continue to eat this way. These are really nutritious, wonderful meals that we're making together. I'm Jill Ovnick. Thank you so much for joining me.